Hi, this is Alika with I Inspire.
I had 2 brain aneurysms and a stroke by the age of 32. And guess what? I still inspire. Do you inspire? We're looking for you. A great business that has struggled hard in the community and now you've made it? We want to hear from you. What about a great musician, an artist, a graphic artist? All talents, we want to hear from you and how you are helping the community by inspiring. Do you inspire? That's what this new show is about. It's happening right here, Distinction TV.
Hello, this is Alika with I Inspire. I'm here with you today on my very first recording with Maria Palacios, and she is a wonderful speaker for Hcil. What is Hcil? We're going to find out all of these questions and more coming up. Stay tuned. Hi, my name is Alika, and I am the host of the show I Inspire on Distinction TV, channel 28.4. I'm encouraging you today to actually inspire our show by advertising on our show. Our rates are incredibly low, but beyond that, this is what you get, okay? You get access to almost 2 million viewers. You get promotion on the internet. This includes our Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, Distinction TV Facebook page, Instagram, our website, and the list goes on. So we can actually help you brand your organization or your business for a very low rate, lower than you can even imagine. I never thought TV rates would be this low to advertise. I welcome you to call us. Call me. You can call my personal cell phone number, 678-865-3071. And if you can't dial long distance for some reason, email me, Ms.Hickman@gmail.com. I look forward to helping you brand your business. 2 million viewers, Facebook, Instagram, you cannot lose. And when you find out these rates, you're going to just be overwhelmed. Call now. Welcome back to I Inspire. I am here with you today with a wonderful friend as well as a great activist for the disabled community. Her name is Maria Palacios. And I said it wrong. Palacios.
That's okay. Thank you so much for having me in this show. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here. As always, awesome to see you.
Yay. Well, I know I just said before, like you work with a company called Hcil.
Hcil, and actually Hcil stands for the Houston Center for Independent Living, and we are a nonprofit organization that has been serving the Houston community for over 30 years. We are pretty much, I'm very proud to say, the hub of the disability community, disability culture. And although every major city and many others have an independent living center, because we have and share a very interesting history, we happen to be the second one in the nation.
Wow.
So we have a lot of disability history and disability pride. So that's what Hcil stands for, because it's not like a very known acronym like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, you know.
So say what it means again.
Houston Center for Independent Living. Independent living. Basically that means that our focus is empowering people with all kinds of disabilities to find their own level of personal independence.
Right, I love it. And I've actually been working on and off with Maria for a while on different projects that she's been doing, and I met her through a great friend who is also disabled, Leroy Moore.
Right. So, and the funny thing is that we were talking before getting on the air with the show, we were laughing how you and I live in the same city. Right. We're both women with disabilities, but we had to meet through Leroy, who lives in California. What's up with that? Our community has plenty of inspiring people, you know, and we're the proof of it.
Yeah, definitely. I know I've worked with you on a project that you actually have coming up.
The Women with Disabilities Empowerment Fair.
Yes.
Yes, and you were with us from the very beginning as an artist performing on stage, and this is a very dear project to me. First of all, being a woman with a disability,
Exactly.
And to know that my personal mission is to empower other people with disabilities, but especially women,
Yes.
especially women with disabilities. So 4 years ago, this is our 4th annual event.
Okay.
Unbelievable how time flies, oh my gosh. But yes, our 4th annual event, and 4 years ago, I, along with Dr. Margaret Nozick and Ms. Sandra Bookman, the Executive Director for the Houston Center for Independent Living, we came together with the proposed idea of having a yearly event solely focusing on the empowerment of women with disabilities.
Okay.
So we started with just a few ideas, and we came together, and as you remember, you performed on stage.
Yes.
And it's a full day of what makes us unique is because there are many fairs out and about throughout the year, okay? Many fairs, there are information, you have your little booths, and people come and go. I wanted more than that. I wanted to truly provide information, art, and sisterhood through this event, and then come together with the energy of the day and put together a show on stage that can empower, inspire, and inform not only women, but everybody else who joins. Because to tell you the truth, when we talk about empowering women, we have to also include men in the picture, because we need men as our allies.
Yes,
you know, we have to
definitely.
educate one another and support
Yeah.
one another. So it's an awesome event, really. It's wonderful. It is free and open to the public. This year is going to be taking place on the 19th of October at the Multi-Service Center on West Gray. But what makes it so beautiful, it's we're just so diverse, and you've seen it, you witnessed it. You know,
Right.
we're multicultural, multi-generational,
Right.
and it so totally represents what HCIL does
Yeah.
and believes in.
Yeah.
You know, with the exception as far as this event is that it places a stronger focus on women with disabilities.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I know being a part of it, it was it felt very comfortable, and it was very welcoming. And I think that every woman should be a part of it. Even if you don't have a disability, I think you should come and be a part of it so you can actually experience what women with disabilities are capable of, but also what we go through. You know?
Exactly, that is so true.
Yeah, and so I think everybody should experience that. So, you know, we're going to take a break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about Maria, because actually Maria, she's up here talking about HCIL, and that is what she represents. But she also is a poet. And so we're going to come back and tell you a little more about Maria.
Distinction Television. Better programming for discerning viewers. Thanks for tuning in.
Welcome back to I Inspire, where we inspire you. I told you before that Maria is an activist for the disabled community, and she also is a poet. My question for you is, how do the two actually combine and empower you as
Oh, that's a great question, you know, because to me personally, they are both connected through everything that I do. My activism and my poetry intermingle with one another to make who I am.
Yeah.
Who I am. They're both such a central part of my persona and everything that I do. For example, a lot of my poetry tends to reflect my experience as being a minority woman at many levels, but especially so when it comes to being a woman with a disability.
Exactly.
So it is through that poetry that I express myself not only artistically but as an activist. As an activist, every year for the anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, I will write a new poem, for example,
Right.
reminding people with disabilities of how powerful we are when we come together for a
Exactly.
cause. And I was one of the blessed people to actually have been there 23 years ago for the signing, for the Americans with passing of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Duh, tongue-tied here. But anyway, yes, I was blessed with the opportunity to be part of this massive activism which took place thanks to the efforts of so many thousands of people with disabilities.
remember that.
When we come together in numbers, sister, we're massive.
Exactly.
We're massive. I don't think most people realize that just in this country, there are about 59, 60 million Americans with disabilities.
Wow.
We talk about the Houston area. Just within Harris County, we have about 600,000 people with disabilities. So it is almost mind-boggling to realize that although we are such a large minority, we're also the most invisible.
Yeah.
We're also the most invisible. Why is that? So those are some of the things that through my poetry and my activism and my partnership with Hcil, I bring together.
Yeah.
And we come together. And I don't mean to talk forever, but the interesting thing is that my relationship with Hcil goes way back to when I was a young girl. I started as an intern with them.
Okay.
And they were actually my first job.
Wow.
They were the ones through whom I learned my own independent living and discovered myself as an
That's
activist
amazing.
and as an advocate for people with disabilities.
Right.
Now, as far as the poetry, going back to your question, I started writing poetry when I was 4 years old, So then that progressed and I became who I became. And it's the perfect marriage. Me and Hcil, or the disability community, providing empowerment to people with disabilities is what my passion is about.
And you are wonderful. I've been to several events because the Women's Empowerment Fair is not the only thing that she is actually involved in. What was the event we did for the holiday?
That was our annual holiday party.
Yeah.
And thank you so much because you blessed us with your beautiful voice. We had about 300 people there.
It was so
and it was
packed.
just I was emceeing the
nervous.
event. Oh girl, please! You couldn't even tell. I was nervous too. We hid it well.
Right. It was a beautiful event. So I must say it is just very encouraging to watch you do what you do. It's just very
And that's a big
encouraging.
ditto.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I receive. So where can we find, I guess, the address if there are other people with disabilities that want to find out more about Hcil and basically, go and see what they do because they really can help you in so many areas. Can you give us the address?
Sure. We are actually located in Southwest Houston. I know it sounds unreal because almost everybody's moving towards downtown, whatever, but we are located at 6201. I'm going to butcher this word, and I always apologize, and they say it's okay, because it's either Bonhomme or Bonhomme.
Yes.
But you can actually find us. Our phone number is 713-974-4621, or you could find us on the internet. We do have a website, which I believe is www.hcil.cc.
Okay, yes, it is.
Right. So you can find us, and we are, of course, when people with disabilities will call either 211 or, we're one of the common resources for people with disabilities because we do so much, and we understand so much the disability culture aspect of things.
Right.
We are what is called consumer-driven.
Okay.
Consumer-driven basically means that, and we call them consumers, not clients. So basically means that we are an agency ran by people with disabilities for people with disabilities. And I don't think most people would even realize just how powerful that is.
Yeah.
Because most of the time if you go to see a counselor or a doctor or a social worker or any kind of service provider, you're kind of like on the other side of the desk.
Yeah.
You're the client, you're the patient, you're whatever. But when people come to us, they're our consumers. And the first thing that they notice about us from the minute they walk through the door is that we are ran by people with disabilities. So when somebody comes in for either intake or any other kind of services, there's no way that they can say, you don't know what I'm going through. Because guess what, buddy? We do know what you're going through.
Exactly, and you can still be independent. I know when I first became disabled, that was one of my biggest challenges is, trying to figure out how I can still hold my independence. And I know this organization definitely helps you discover your power you have even with a disability. So yeah, I appreciate the organization so much, and I appreciate you as my friend. So
I love you, girl.
I love you too.
You're awesome.
I want to ask you another question.
Sure.
Can you explain exactly like what your disability is?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Most people, when they take a look at me and they see that I'm in a chair, this is so interesting because this is going to lead to the difference between visible disabilities versus non-visible disabilities. But the first thing that people notice is that I'm in a wheelchair. Automatically, they go into the assumption that I'm a spinal cord injury or that I had some kind of accident.
Right.
The truth is, I was born in Latin America. When I was 9 months old, I had polio. Now, in this country, pretty much polio has been eradicated, but that's not the case in other parts of the world. So yes, I'm a polio survivor, and notice how I say survivor rather than victim, because at any given point, it's up to us to choose which one we are.
Right.
And when we choose to be a survivor, that's where true self-empowerment begins. So I grew up with my disability. This is all I know. To me, this is normal.
Right.
And the dynamics between someone like myself and somebody who acquired a disability later in life can be very different. I mean, for one thing, sometimes I think, okay, what if something were to happen to parts of my body which are my normal parts of my body right now? Like if I were to lose an arm or my sight or something, I think that it would be very hard.
Right.
It would be very hard, you know. Everybody processes disability adjustment differently. But the beautiful thing is that once we realize that we're still whole, no matter how broken our bodies may seem, that's when true change flourishes from within.
From within.
You know?
Exactly.
So I'm very passionate about sharing my blessings. And to me, I always say polio is one of my biggest blessings. Because it's made me who I am. I would not know how to imagine myself as a walking person or as an able-bodied person. It's made me the poet that I am. It's turned me into the activist I've become, into the giver and lover of life. And I know the same is for you.
I say that all the time. And I know people say like, you know, why would she say she's happy she had a stroke? And it's not that I am happy. It's that it did something for me that, you know, I had to have that awakening. And so I am grateful that I had the stroke and the brain aneurysm and I survived, because I survived and turned into a different me. And that's who I needed to see. I was so commercialized and, you know, just so in the hype. I was in the music business. I had the weave down to my butt, you know, you couldn't tell me nothing. And
life had other plans for you. Sister,
know?
I'm going to shake you a little bit just so I can make you stronger.
And it did. It empowered me. And I wouldn't change that for anything in the world. I wouldn't change who I am now for anything in the world. I just want to evolve. And, you know, if it took me to become disabled to become able, then I
that's so
received
beautiful.
that,
But it's
know?
so true. Yes.
Yeah, I received
Yes.
it. So.
Full.
Yes. So you must come to the Empowerment Fair. Can you give the
please.
address again?
The Empowerment Fair actually is going to take place at 1475 West Gray, Metropolitan Multi-Service Center, October 19th from 2 p.m. to 8:30. And while the fair itself is open to the public and it's free, the evening event has a $5 cover charge because it involves dinner and a fantastic, amazing show, which is featuring Audie Angel from Push Girls, Sundance Channels, who's going to be dancing for us and empowering us. Plus, we have other performers with disabilities who are just going to leave you in awe of how beautiful this event is.
So please come out, support the HCIL community, support yourself, and come and just learn about people with disabilities. If you don't have a disability, come and see how we empower, how women can empower themselves simply by building with each other. Hi, my name is Alika, and I am the host of the show I Inspire on Distinction TV, channel 28.4. I'm encouraging you today to actually inspire our show by advertising on our show. Our rates are incredibly low, but beyond that, this is what you get, okay? You get access to almost 2 million viewers. You get promotion on the internet. This includes our Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, Distinction TV
Facebook page, Instagram, our website, and the list goes on. So we can actually help you brand your organization or your business for a very low rate, lower than you can even imagine. I never thought TV rates would be this low to advertise. I welcome you to call us. Call me. You can call my personal cell phone number, 678-865-3071. And if you can't dial long distance for some reason, email me, Hickman@gmail.com. I look forward to helping you brand your business. 2 million viewers, Facebook, Instagram, you cannot lose. And when you find out these rates, you're going to just be overwhelmed. Call now. Thank you.
Welcome back to I Inspire. I am your host, Alika, and today I am sitting with the wonderful inspiration named Maria Palacios, who is with Hcil, which means
Houston Center for Independent Living.
Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so we're going to ask you a few more questions. We deal with disabilities all over. And one of the main places we deal with disabilities, and it can be harsh with people who don't have disabilities, is schools, from elementary to middle schools to high schools. How does Hcil involve themselves with other children that have disabilities maybe in this school system?
That's a very good question, and I'm glad that you bring it up because, as you know, and I'm sure that our viewers also know, there's a lot of bullying going around, and more often than not, bullying is harsher on kids with disabilities.
Definitely.
And especially kids whose disabilities are immediately obvious. We do a lot of education and awareness as part of our empowerment, and youth services is something that we also focus on by going to the schools and speaking either with the kids with disabilities to help them become stronger and fight being bullied,
Right.
and also to educate the non-disabled kids so they can be more accepting.
Yeah.
But absolutely, that is it's one of the things, and as we were talking earlier, I grew up with my disability.
Okay.
So I remember also experiencing feeling segregated,
Yes.
feeling put down, stared at. It's very difficult. Those are very difficult things for young kids with disabilities, and especially so because when you're young, you're still forming, you're still trying to figure out who you are. How do you fit in?
Yes.
And another thing is that we're very lucky in this generation because the young people with disabilities right now actually have role models, which I didn't have when I was growing up with a disability. As a little girl, I didn't have the image of some powerful person with a disability that I could say, I want to grow up and be like her.
Right.
I didn't have Barbie in a wheelchair. As much as I opposed to Barbie,
Yeah.
it still sends some kind of ability to identify with something that sends the message that you're beautiful too.
Yes.
Even though Barbie is like a terrible example of,
Right.
yes, I'm sorry. But, just to mention and say that now kids with disabilities have so much more going on. Media, technology, the future is wide open, available.
Right.
We're able to truly change the way that we communicate, the way we inspire and empower one another. But still, regardless, I would not want to go back to being 13, would you?
No.
Oh my
and I
gosh,
think
no.
it's just, the schools, I didn't grow up disabled. I became disabled as an adult. But even because I was just tall and skinny, I got talked about.
Right.
And, just different things like that. So children can be so harsh.
Very.
And I don't think they really think about the outcome of their actions. They just say things,
True. And also we have to stop for a second and think, where does all this come from? I think that in many ways bullying comes from fear.
Yes.
Okay. We have to also think the way that we are socializing non-disabled kids. This has happened to me, and it's happened to other people where we're in a public place and a child would innocently come and say, what happened to you?
Right.
And a lot of times the parents are the ones who react horrified, yank that child, get away, shh, don't ask. You know, when
Right.
instead of treating it as something natural, oh, that's a wheelchair, or oh, this person is blind.
Right.
Children are naturally curious and they tend to tell the truth. But such natural curiosity can turn into ugly bullying when they have not been taught or exposed to deal and cope with that fear of other people's differences.
Yeah.
So education and awareness is always the key.
Yeah.
Always.
Which actually that brings me to another point, because I know we talk about the children and how basically they can be bullied just because of how they look or the reflection, you know, that they give or whatever. But what is the difference, in your opinion, of, I guess, people with disabilities that are visible, obvious, and then those that are not so obvious?
Well, for one thing, the main difference is the social expectations that come along with each one. For example, growing up with a disability and having a physical and immediately visible disability, it sends a lot of times the message of, or the expectations, the social expectation of not being able to do something, okay?
Right.
Whereas if a non-visible disability, for example, epilepsy, diabetes, heart failure, there are many disabilities that manifest themselves internally without necessarily showing. So the expectation is different. The expectation for somebody with a non-visible disability is going to be, what's wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with you.
Right.
Okay? So people with non-visible disabilities are expected to act normal, okay, and not need help just because you don't look disabled. The truth is that not every disability is visible. And yet, think about it. What is the universal disability symbol? It's a wheelchair. Only about an estimated 15% of all disabilities involve a mobility-related disability, and yet we make that the main symbol to recognize disability.
Right.
So it's kind of like a lot of conflicted messages out there,
Yeah,
right?
I agree. I never even thought about that, but you're totally right. Wow.
Yeah. So it's always about communicating, informing, educating, which is pretty much, I feel like, my mission in life. And not to mention, it should be everybody's mission in life, if you have a disability, especially so. Because who else is going to do the educating? Who else is going to change the world for what we need unless we're there doing it ourselves?
Right.
Sad but true.
Right.
The ADA would not have passed unless we banged on many doors. Do you seriously think for a second that we would have all the things that we actually have if we wouldn't have fought for it?
Yeah.
And the thing is that we have to continue fighting for it.
Definitely.
We cannot just sit back and wait for things to either remain at the same comfort level or continue evolving for the better, because they won't.
Mm-hmm.
If we stop educating, then we start regressing. We are.
Wow. Okay, so just say if when I had my stroke in 2004 or 2007, and it was so new to me, and I wanted to come to HCIL, what would you guys help me with?
Well, the first thing that we would do is to simply put options in front of you. Because empowerment a lot of times comes from realizing that you do have options. Okay? One of the first things that happens upon either acquiring a disability or being treated as you have a disability is that many of your basic rights get taken away. They get taken away from you. Your ability to decide for yourself. People automatically assume that because you have a disability, you need help and you need pity. Okay? One rule of thumb, people out there, please, no pity.
Right.
No pity.
Yeah.
Okay? And that also involves allowing people with disabilities the opportunity and the right to make choices for themselves. We don't want our rights to be taken away.
Right.
There is so much when it comes to educating, and what we would have been able to do for you. The very first mode would have been, here are some options for you. We do this through what is called an independent living plan. We sit down and we take your goals, not our goals, your goals as a person with a disability, and then we place them in front of you and help you see how realistic are these goals. How many steps involve in you wanting to drive again, for example? None of these goals are more than likely going to happen just because you came to us. Okay, here you go. No, they have to be broken down into manageable steps. And from that, independent living is born because you realize you're in charge of those goals, not me. I'm nothing more than a peer counselor, somebody who is there to let you know I've been there where you are right now, and yes, you can do it, and yes, you're okay, even though you don't feel okay totally right now, but you will. We also offer you immense support. We have monthly groups at the center which focus on the empowerment of men and women. I usually run the Women on the Move group, which meets on the last Thursday of every month. And it's so beautiful, just so inspiring to see women with disabilities who had come to us before they started attending the group. And many of them would feel lost and alone and scared or not knowing where to go. And to just come together.
So please come out, support the HCIL community, support yourself, and come and just learn about people with disabilities. If you don't have a disability, come and see how we empower, how women can empower themselves simply by building with each other. Thank you for tuning into I Inspire.